let's get started. So, my name is Jordan, if you don't know me. I'm a full-time storm chasing journeyman lineman. I used to be a full-time co-op lineman, but back in May I made the switch and have been really happy with that switch. But I've had a lot of people message me how I pack my storm bags. So I was just going to give you guys a little helpful video on how I do it. So through the summer and the fall, I was running 2 Pelicans and then a backpack and then a small roller carry-on bag. But now, since we're in the winter time, I have to pack my winter clothes, and as you know, insulated bibs and muck boots and all that fun stuff are heavy. So I traded out one of my Pelicans for this Dragonwear climbing gear bag. I did that because a Pelican weighs 14.4 pounds, whereas this weighs 4.4 pounds. So that gave me 10 pounds of extra space to pack all of my gear. But anyway, what I pack in here, this stuff goes with me everywhere. And another thing I like about the Dragonwear bag is that it also, not only is it carrying all my tools, but it also works as a climbing bag whenever I have to go climb a pole off out in the right of way or in a backyard. But first thing I carry all the time is a flashlight, that, my Milwaukee cut-proof work gloves, and then also my flashlight charger. I use a string light. That's what I used at the co-op, and then after I left, I got one for myself. They work great. Never had any problems with it. And then over here in this pouch, I keep my own roll of white tape. I like the 3M. It works a lot better when it's cold versus some of the cheaper brands. I keep a drill bit for steel poles. It doesn't happen that often that I have to use it, but I'd rather have it and not need it, and it's not very heavy. I keep a plumb bob. Most people don't have plumb bobs on storm, so you're having to make one. I just keep one with me. And then for sockets, I keep just a regular, let's see, this one's a 5/8. And then I keep a 7/16. And then I also use the Klein 3-in-1 socket. So it's 9/16, 3/4, and then it's also got the slotted edge. That way you can take off hot line clamps and stuff like that. So that's in this side pouch. And then for the front, this thing is huge when it's fully packed out, but it still fits in a truck bin easier than a Pelican. Then I also carry a leather jack strap or leather slack blocks, whatever you want to call them. Most of the trucks have rope slack blocks on them, but I just like using the leather jack straps because they don't get tangled up as much and they're faster. And then I keep like a 6-foot piece of collar rope. If you're a lineman, you know how handy this is. And then another thing I keep with me that's really handy for rigging is I've got 2 1-inch endless slings. So I'll open one up and show you, just so you can get an idea of like the size I carry. So I think that's probably, I don't know, maybe 3 feet. But yeah, it's just a 1-inch endless sling rated for anywhere from 2,500 pounds to 6,400 pounds, depending on how you set it up. And then another thing that I recommend you put in all of your storm bags is Apple AirTags. I've seen guys have their bags stolen. I've seen them fall off trucks. I've seen them get forgotten. So always have an AirTag in every single one of your bags. Highly recommend. Alright, now for the big stuff. If I can find the zipper. Alright, so this compartment is huge, by the way. Move it around where you can see it, maybe. So, in the mesh pocket, I keep my 4 bucket hooks, 2 for my tool board, and then 2 for, I've got an oval bag for like material and stuff in the bucket. This is my OG hard hat. I've had that since climbing school. I have miraculously not lost it, which is saying a lot for me. I have a 1/2 inch Milwaukee impact. It's very important that you don't leave the batteries with the tools if you're gonna fly, and it's gonna be in your check bag. Make sure that you have the batteries in your carry-on bag. They can't go in your check bag. They have to go in your carry-on that goes with you in the cabin. They do that for fire prevention reasons. So if one of these catches on fire, you can put it out faster if it's in the cabin with you. Side note. So my Milwaukee 1/2 inch gun, actually I'll show you. This has got a quick attach chuck on it. That way you can pop your sockets on and off really quick. But keep that with me. A lot of guys carry money guns. I don't. I just use this and just a normal Milwaukee cordless drill. And the reason I do that is because I also carry a bit driver set in one of my other bags. So if you've got a set of pole back in the same hole and there's a bunch of phone boxes on it or drops or a bunch of stuff screwed to the pole, you can take all that stuff off and just go back in the same hole and not have to dig another hole. Because if you're on storm and you have to dig another hole, then you've got to call dig safe and wait for the hole, or wait for the area to be marked. And it can take a lot of time. When it's 20 degrees outside, you're just trying to get it done and you get back in the truck. Another thing I carry that a lot of guys don't carry is my crimp tool. So for this, I take the jaws off of it, and I actually put the jaws in one of my carry-on bags because the jaws alone are like 5 pounds. So that's another way to save you some weight. But I always keep my crimp gun. If you're on a pole climbing or whatever, and you've got to make up 15 different crimps, I would much rather have that than having the manual pop tool. Then obviously my hooks. If you're going on storm and you're a lineman and you're not carrying your hooks, that can set a bad example or give yourself a bad name. Also, carry a wood drill bit. This one's a Hilti. I prefer the Diablo bits. For me, they just drill through poles better, but that's the only one I've got right now. And then for my tool board setup, this one came from J.L. Matthews, I think. I like this canvas tool board because it's only like 2.5 pounds, and you can also roll it up and it doesn't take up much space at all. So that's what I run for my tool board. This brand is S-Tex, but J.L. Matthews I think also has their own brand on their website. Keep my Klein screwdriver. I keep a 3/8 drive ratchet, and then on that ratchet I've got a 5/16 Allen head. That's good for multi-lugs in transformers, or we call them flags. But keep that. Also my stick ruler, obviously channel locks. These are the OG channel locks. I had them for several years. Kleins, they're 9s. If you don't know, these are 9 inches from top to bottom, so that can save you on framing poles as well. And then I keep my my bug wrench. I call it a bug wrench. Some people call it a speed wrench. And then my line wrench. So I use the Milwaukee that's also got the hammer back because I've had the old bell wrenches or old line wrenches. And I used them as a hammer one too many times when they didn't have a hammer back and they stopped working. But I like this one because it's a line wrench, it's a hammer, and it's also got your ratcheting wrench on the back. And then for my actual hammer, I like something with a waffle back. That way when you're hammering staples, it kind of catches them better and you don't have them flying off every other time. And then you can also pull staples with this, and you can also take J-hooks out with it. So that's the hammer I run with. keep my nut runner. So this is a Greenlee. This is the quick chuck that I was telling you about. And you just pop them in, pop it out. And then I keep 2 knives with me. Also very important, the knives don't go in your carry-on. They go in your check bag, or else you won't have a knife. So just a Klein, regular old school Klein bucket knife. And then for my hawk bill that I keep in my pocket, I use a Linux. I think you can get them at Lowe's for like 12 bucks. This one's probably 6 years old at least, but pretty handy, pretty durable. Yeah, that's, I think that's